Attention gamers. A few weeks ago I talked about how League's most popular champion was this anorexic crack house refugee who is getting picked in roughly a fourth of all games. Their plan to put her on the big screen and have her cry on camera a bit while making her a relatable character by showing off her weird daddy issues worked. She was the face of the game, skin sales were through the roof, blatant feeders were still not being punished, and everyone was playing this pale-skinned gun slut who, just like them, was in desperate need of some time in the sun and a carb. But while everyone always focuses on Miss Popularity contest winner, few people focus on the losers at the other end. Some of you may have heard of Nyla before. She's a rare spawn on the Rift, and like this Reddit post says, most people have completely forgotten about, and today I was going to try and find out why. Her win rate is through the rizzy, and her passive makes it seem like any support would jump at the opportunity to be stuck in the buddy system with her, but it's probably because she's a melee mommy in the high range high burst meta, and rather than focusing on making a complete champ, Riot just rushed it after the dev teams had a Netflix night and binged the entire series of Avatar. But hey, it was an empowered woman character and it was 2022, so what was the worst that can happen? And speaking of women characters in video games, when's the last time you shaved your balls?
What?
The following is a poem I wrote about pubes. Hey boys, let's talk about body hairs, down there, up here, and inside your underwears. Manscaped is the answer to pube problems, it's true, for all dads on Father's Day, including yours too. The beard hedger trimmer is where to start. It's got technology that'll warm any dad's heart. A titanium coated T-blade and a motor that's fast. Can cut through any hair with just one single pass. The Weed Whacker 2.0 is next in line, no more nasty nose hairs to define. Its 7,000 RPM motor and 360-degree blade can't be beat when it comes to sending those ear hairs on a permanent retreat. Last but not least, the Lawn Mower 4.0 trimmer. With ceramic blades and skin-safe tech, it's a real winner. Cordless and waterproof with a wireless charging stand, your balls will be so smooth you'll feel like a new man. The Performance Package 4.0 is where it's at. 2 tools in one package, how about that? Crop Preserver and Crop Reviver are included too. And 2 free gifts, the Shed Travel Bag plus boxers just for you. So come on guys, what are you waiting for? Use the link below and get 20% off at the store. Free international shipping is included as well. Manscaped.com fixes all pube problems, can't you tell?
That was nice, Rav, but the assignment was to talk about the impact that World War II had on the oil industry.
Alright, so the first thing I read in that Reddit post is that this mage support meta is the literal AIDS monkey for Nyla, so I requested he swap it up for me, and instead of telling me to kill myself he actually did. So if any of you see lol sauce on the street, let him know I don't care what his mother-in-law says about him, he's alright. But then I put my newfound friendship with this random submissive support to the test by hitting a quick game of Surprise You a Dead Bitch as a way to introduce ourselves to our lane mates. 3 minutes of me getting poked more than an asshole during a colonoscopy go by until we know Kanye is en route to the scene of a double homicide, so we let him come in and whiff all his shit before chasing Obama's wife down and asking her if Nautilus's anchor feels any better than Thresh's lantern, but she rudely leaves before answering, so we murder her friend as punishment. So laning phase continues, and I guess the strategy comes down to water whipping these minions like they have a fetish for it until the walking submarine does what Nautiluses do, aka walk straight at the ADC and auto attack them, as I decline Senna's invitation to be rooted because I'd rather sex tassel whack this bird instead. At this point I kinda wanna catch a cab back to base, buy something cute to bring to Coachella so I can flex on these shitters next time I see them, but Anchor Andy has different aspirations for how the afternoon should go, so I oblige by hitting them with the Seaman Cyclone, which earns me an early killing spree. We collectively agree that all this murder is going to eventually attract some attention, so we put some cameras up, but call this Senna Meghan Markle because she wants her damn privacy, but lol sauce wants to prove that he's a goddamn savant, which hands me another kill on a silver platter and lines me up to force a flash right after. We are now being pedophile pals, you know, spying on unsuspecting girls from the bushes when one thinks she heard a sound, but all she really heard was the subtle whistling of a support diff Grand Canyon, with me as the main beneficiary. That said, we may be big dick in bot lane, but our mid is both a Darius and a dumbass, so we have to migrate north to play some damage control, and thankfully that walking ATM Lucian's loser side piece is here, so I nab another 2 hundo. But it's only a matter of time before the reality sets in that this is a team game and there's more to the map than just bot, and I'm thinking this looks like grass-fed fucking prime rib for a 5-0 Nyla, and I'm gonna spam my Niagara Falls button until I die. So I didn't get the prime rib, but lol sauce was like, screw steak, I can get you the best crab this side of the rift as to offer, and like a true ADC I'm like, fine, if you can chew it for me too that'd be great, as he does all the work and I just right click a few times. Then we get word that some gauzy shitter is sobbing on all our jungle camps and we can't have that, so we call an emergency team meeting to determine the order that we will rub our ballsacks on his dead corpse as I play this fight to damn near perfection as an ADC. I see Cosmic Bowling Alley Zaya being entirely too comfortable as a split push ADC, and the plan was to water bend her till she weeps, but of course this swollen Loch Ness monster has to show up to piss on my parade. So I hit him with more dodge than a Durango, but a TP comes in and I wasn't born yesterday. I know if I let Big Barney make me jump I will be his last supper, so I stay on the outskirts even after his death, waiting for my chance to run in and give Senna the thresh treatment, but Mr. Waternoose is a protective king crab and I'm a shitty squishy ADC with neither the skills or the color on my screen to pull something like that off. But I'm still a grade A dick snozzle and fighting on unfair terms is my motto, so I pop out and say, hey look at my water-filled wiener empowered woman style, and I need to give myself props for ulting her behind me and then staying in front of her so that I can't get feather fucked. You see, I'm not as bad as they say. So my first game to raise the popularity of Katara doesn't exactly go to plan, but I just needed to put my head down and grind, aka take my sex tassels into the practice tool and whip a target dummy like he forgot his own safe word, and with that I was ready for round 2. Unfortunately, when I saw this meowing moron trying to use his relic stacks on the first wave, I knew I was gonna be the victim of the bowling ball bot lane effect in this one. For those of you that don't know what this is, imagine you are just trying to live your life, achieve your goals, and then someone hands you a bowling ball and says you have to hold it 24/7 no matter what you do. Sure, you may still be able to achieve your goals, but everything you do and all your plans will now be harder and have to accommodate carrying the dead weight of a bowling ball around. And when we hit 2 and he decided to not engage on our advantage until 12 seconds after the opportunity passed, the bowling ball effect was confirmed. And I don't want to just blame him, I was the problem here as well. We were just not on the same page or even in the same book. I was reading Avatar and he was jerking off to 50 Shades of Grey. And the problem with the bowling ball effect is that people don't give a shit what you are stuck carrying. Their greasy virgin fingers will be pointed straight at you instead, and no matter how nice you try to be to them. This is League after all, and there's only one way this ends. But in the next Champ Select, when my teammate Band, who I was hovering, said it was an accident and then later told me he did it on purpose because he doesn't like me, I remembered that the bowling ball effect doesn't have jack shit on the dickhead League of Legends player base effect, and that's when I realized why suffer through all the urine smelling nonsense that comes with playing this game myself when I can just show a game from the ranked 1 Nyla and Challenger. She too had her own personal lol sauce, and the enemy Rakan wasn't a bowling ball, so he properly gets his team the level 2 advantage and engages right after, but this water whipper isn't about to let Zippy and the goat have their way, so she fights back until a wild Butterfree appears. Nyla actually cares about positioning instead of just flooring the gas pedal into fights until she dies like I typically do, so she peels off and lets the grown-ups play with each for a bit until the Jedi crawls up the wrong asshole, which turns the whole thing into a hostage situation which ends in favor of Riot's balance team, making Bel'Veth a broken monstrosity. This Nyla rush lethality, unlike me and in Challenger supports, can recognize when a pink-haired Billie Eilish is alone under tower, so they execute dive sequence as Nyla nukes the Nancy and then they peel off before the tower's ego gets too big. This continues until Mr. Tomness comes back, but they are both riding lower than a bricklayer's boxers, and this Nyla wants to touch that butt crack as she pulls off a play so smooth that Jergens Lotion is probably emailing her for a brand deal as we speak, and right when you think she's about to go down, that gold-plated submarine comes in for the rescue. They are now 2 levels ahead of the enemy bot lane because I guess Nyla's passive is more busted than a hillbilly's front teeth, and I guess you want tank support so that you can just give the middle finger to enemy towers while she comes in, hits a quick Niagara Falls, which does a hell of a lot more damage than I ever did with her ult when I played her. Team fights are now breaking out and she's almost as high level as a mid laner, which is something that ADCs don't get to say every day, as she informs Triss that jumping away won't be an option as she slaps them around like they were ginger step twins before playing it safe, which is a foreign concept to me, but hey, I'm in silver saying tomato and she is in Challenger saying Toma, you're a dumb shit hard stuck that'll never leave silver, and I guess we'll leave it at that. Nautilus calls her up and is like, yo, there's a midget elf here, and this particular one was definitely a nepotism hire in Santa's workshop because she is giving off dumbass vibes, which long story short hands Nyla another 3 hundo. The enemy team is now marching down mid loitering like a bunch of tit-licking teenagers who just got their licenses and are hanging somewhere they shouldn't, as Katara comes in, properly hits an ult without getting herself blown like Johnny Sims, which ends in 2 of them bleeding out and the rest leaving screaming bloody murder. And I'm starting to think all the guides are just German propaganda as they tell you to rush shield bows and run around being an Adolf Hitler, but she went the lethality route, and not only does her ult slap but her Qs are on a whole nother level of BDSM. Big damage slaps and murder as everyone she hits blacks out and wakes up in fountain a minute later. They get Baron and start escorting Belveth's little bitch bugs like it's a grand promenade as Nautilus informs Rakan that he doesn't respect the concept of hitboxes, and then they send him back to Narnia. Her Akshan is getting shit on worse than a public restroom, but she's now 3 items in dual wielding H2O sex tassels and willing to whip anyone in her way, which looks pretty damn Smurf-like to me. So yeah, one more fight proves that you don't need shield bow when Eclipse gives a nice little bitch bubble against damage, and with that I guess that's why, despite having been a forgotten champ, those who actually know how to build and play Nyla are having mad success. Rav out.